is happening?
I don't know what is going on. I thought I heard that playing twice. StreamYard has completely.
You're on Facebook.
What's going on? Whoa.
What is happening?
What is going on? I thought I heard that playing twice.
You sent that link.
That was me. I did. I opened the link.
Eric's a little tired.
How about I'm very tired. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. It is Monday night, September 13th, and everybody's favorite time of the week. It is time for the EriDan Film Festival.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Time when we gather to talk film and televisions and all thing entertainment with you, the people at home.
If you're gonna be fully buttoned up, I'm gonna be fully.
I'm going all formal on this show tonight because we are talking about Star Trek. So it should be. I'm anticipating a fun-filled conversation. I'm sure there's lots of Trekkies out there who've got opinions they want to share. In particular, we're talking about the 2009 J.J. Abrams classic.
Well, I mean, that's 12 years ago now.
Well, that's true. But is just age? Is that what makes a classic?
I don't know.
Well, let's find out if age is what makes a classic. Stacy and Wade are here, and Wade, responsible for our movie tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it everything you remembered it to be?
Yeah, it was actually pretty. I thought it was pretty good.
Nice. Well, speaking of pretty good,
I'm sorry, Dave. This conversation can serve no purpose anymore.
Oh, love the shirts. Love the shirts.
Oh yeah.
I'm the expendable crew member, sir.
If somebody's
how many chances do I get to wear this after all?
Well,
I don't know. Any conventions coming soon?
If you do want to be a guest, you can go to EriDanLive.com and you can join us and talk about Star Trek, the movie from 2009.
2009. So this was Wade put this suggestion out. Before we get to the stats, we should bring in one more guest. Reagan's here.
To infinity and beyond.
Reagan.
Hello.
Hello. How are ya?
Doing pretty good.
Awesome. Are you?
You
wore your Star Wars shirt. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I changed. I was like, I need to have something Star related.
Star related. I don't know.
That's like saying I'm going to Republican National Convention. I better get a political shirt like this DNC one.
Yeah.
I'm going to get my Hillary shirt on.
When I went to put the movie on, my 13-year-old left the room saying, I'm not watching discount Star Wars.
Does he realize does he not realize how much that predated Star Wars?
Yeah, I know, but there's Target and there's Kmart. Who cares around which one came first?
Well, there's still Kmart?
Some places. All right. Speaking of Kmart, let's talk about Star Trek 2009, PG-13, The Future Begins, starring more people than I care to list. Directed by J.J. Abrams. Budget of $150 million, worldwide gross of $386 million, critics at a 94, and the audience at a 91. A lot to love for this 2009 reboot kind of ish in a way.
Like a remake, maybe. I don't know.
Remake, kind of, yeah.
An all new timeline.
You know, and I will say, I did watch all three. I believe Dan watched all three as well of the J.J. Well, they weren't all J.J. Abrams, but the Chris Pine, we'll say the Chris Pine Star Trek movies. And I would say it's as much of a trilogy as the first three Indiana Jones movies. There's as much that carries over as far as the relationship between the characters and there's not an overarching storyline that goes through them, but there's so much drama between Kirk and Spock.
and I don't know, there's so many Trekkies that are so offended by this movie.
Yeah.
Because
I don't get it.
They made Sulu gay. They made Spock and Uhura they're in love. Reagan disappeared.
Because we're frozen and so are we.
Oh, she needs better internet there.
No.
But yeah, and then so they made it the Kelvin timeline, not the Kevin timeline. So Eric's son's okay.
Yeah.
And they changed the whole timeline. And then it's wild to see the opening of the movie. You see Thor as Captain Kirk's father. I'm like, wait a minute.
Or trying so hard not to have an accent.
Yes.
I knew that was. Okay.
I told you that yesterday or Saturday.
I don't listen.
We know.
You get your Chris's mixed up, There
was a lot of Chris's going on. Hemsworth, you got your Pine.
No Pratt.
I'm going to start with Adam's comment right off the bat because he says,
I'll
I'll say this. I'm not a fan of J.J. Abrams for the simple fact he destroyed Star Wars for me with his shitty sequels. But this movie is good. But the Star Trek sequels after this sucked.
I won't defend the sequels, but they are better than the prequels.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. I agree.
Now, Adam is saying that Into Darkness and Beyond, he did not enjoy.
See, it's weird. Correct. I remember this movie pretty well. I hadn't seen it in a long time, but I remembered it pretty well. Yeah. I remember Into Darkness almost as well. The third one, which I haven't rewatched yet, I really don't remember it all. It just is gone from my memory. I know I saw it, but it's gone.
I think Reagan and I went to see it, and we saw it in 3D.
Nothing.
It was actually kind of cool.
What's the problem tonight?
Where they went from one ship
I see Dave. I see Eric. I can't hear anybody else.
That's all right. Those are the only people you need to hear. What's funny is the other people don't know what she said. No, I'm kidding.
I can hear her.
Oh, you can hear her.
Yes, we can hear her.
It's fine on the show to everybody else.
It's only those two. Like I can hear whenever people are talking, and it kind of freezes up a little bit. Like I can't hear what they're saying, but I can hear that they're talking. But it's like you and Dave are the only ones.
But I'm getting feedback from you.
I blame college internet.
Yeah,
it could be the college.
I have my TV off. It's fine.
I'm sure everybody else on the whole building is on.
Exactly. Yeah.
Having watched all three of these movies, I feel like Into the Darkness is far superior to the other two in this trilogy of this setup.
I'm trying to remember. Did they? I don't think they tried to keep the fact that Nimoy was in this a secret.
No,
because it was impossible to keep it a secret. Whereas they kept the secret from the second movie better.
Yes.
Yeah, Adam kept saying it's spoiler, and I don't think it was a spoiler.
No, because I remember also reading that Shatner was sort of pissed off because he wanted to be in it too, and they couldn't figure out a way to shoehorn him in.
Yeah, I don't think that would work.
And they gave him a big finger to Shatner because they are the song that he's jamming to, that they also jam to in the third movie, I think, is Sabotage by the Beastie Boys. Mm-hmm. And of course, we all know that Shatner can't say sabotage, he says sabotage. There's that whole outtake of him where he's like, he says something, he goes, "Fuck, hurry up, they're going to sabotage the ship." And they go, "Okay, that was good, but could you say sabotage the next time?" He goes, No.
Now, if they really wanted to, they could have used one of the songs he did from his music album, like
Rocket
Man.
Rocket
Man.
It's Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds.
Yes, Lucy in the Sky. Yep. The Golden Throat CDs from Rhinos are brilliant.
Mm-hmm. A little pain.
We'll keep trying Reagan and see if it keeps that. You know what?
Oh,
it works.
What?
No, it stopped. Whenever I come in, it stops.
All right, what if we do this? We'll move you around. Does that change anything?
That's what
literally before we had problems where Rick Berg he was in position 3. No?
So weird. That is very weird.
Yeah, it irritates me.
What browser are you using?
What browser
are you using?
We can't hear you. What browser are you using?
I'm using Microsoft Edge.
There's a problem.
Do I go to Google Chrome?
Yes. Chrome. Try that.
It's worth a try, although they're 90% the same thing.
Not for this. I can't get anything else to work other than
yeah. It definitely doesn't work on Safari.
I use pretty much nothing but Firefox. So.
Firefox is good on this usually.
Anyway, now that IT session is over.
Okay.
It's never really over.
No, it never is.
So yeah, Adam said he didn't know Nimoy was going to be in it until he saw it in the theaters.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe initially, I could have sworn I remember because Leonard Nimoy was also on Fringe, J.J. Abrams' TV show, and I remember there being an interview when they talked about it.
Yeah. One of the extras on the Blu-ray was about casting, and they were showing each of the main characters and them talking about being cast in the role and how they were cast, and it was interesting because you saw Quinto meeting Nimoy. You saw Saldana meeting Nichols. You saw what's his name? You saw Yelchin meeting Koenig. Yeah, and they talked about but never saw Pine meeting Shatner. That wasn't something.
There was a letter though. He did send him a letter, and Shatner did approve. Adam says I have an echo.
Yeah. Are you using the right mic? Is it possible you might have? Nope, you're using the wrong mic.
Are you serious?
We're getting your audio from elsewhere.
Oh my god.
And there were a lot of extras in the gag reel and some of the others of Simon Pegg was cracking everybody up in the scenes he was in. It was just Quinto just could not get his lines out in some of the scenes because every time Pegg would open his mouth, he would just crack them up.
Well, Zachary Quinto, little known fact, maybe it's not a little known fact. He is a Carnegie Mellon graduate. Went to Central Catholic High School, class of '95.
And at the time he was cast in this, I only knew him as Siler from Heroes.
Yeah.
Oh.
And by the sequels, his hair looked horrific. Like his hair looked so bad in the third one. It was like, but the first one, it looked like Spock hair. Anyway, that's and Eric and I brushed on this earlier because I thought I had the effect that I could do to my camera, but I don't. Could we have more lens flare? I mean, really, do we need more lens flare? It's the cowbell of the movie.
I
think some of that sort of was an homage to the original because they used that a lot in the original show.
Mm-hmm.
That much lens flare?
Standing there talking.
I mean, all of a sudden, it's just
a little glow right here.
Maybe it's comes across, and
there is definitely not.
I don't know. And Carl Urban was fantastic as McCoy.
Oh, I like him,
especially because he's a British guy.
Yeah. Actually, I agree with Adam. All of this, that was probably the strongest point of this movie was they got the casting right. Mm-hmm. Each of them, you could tell they were the same character without. Occasionally, Urban almost felt like he was imitating DeForest Kelley, but for the most part, they were the same character, but not feeling like they were trying to impersonate.
Yes, there wasn't a flat out impersonation of trying to talk like.
That would have been horrible.
Although, there were a few times where Chris Pine definitely was doing some Shatnerisms when he get in the chair and.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's just the cockiness.
He did a little pause.
Yeah. So that was more doing the character of Kirk, though, than doing real Shatnerisms, where, because the cockiness of Kirk you had to bring out. That's an intrinsic part of his character. Yeah. And the green women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed this movie. The first time, the second time, the third time. This is probably the fifth time I've seen it.
Wow.
Although the sequels I might have seen once.
Yeah.
I didn't remember half of it. And I was like, oh, this is great. I'm seeing something I'm not like, oh, I know what's next.
I think is there a fourth one in the works?
There's one in the works.
Yeah, it's pre-production, so who knows? But there's one that's actually been at least discussed, yeah.
Justin Long is in this one playing Kirk, I believe.
No, somebody, because Chris Pine's not doing it, and Chris Hemsworth. It's supposed to be
Chris Pratt, then obviously.
It's got to be one of Chris's. Chris Hemsworth wasn't supposed to be doing.
Wait, Chris Hemsworth will come back as his son.
Well, no, they're doing gender blind. I mean, not gender blind. They're doing colorblind casting now, so it's going to be Chris Tucker doing Kirk.
Oh.
Yeah, Tarantino. I think he actually had one ready to go. Like it's a. Like he wrote I don't know. There's a whole thing about that.
I'd be curious.
The only thing I would say is Simon Pegg, who didn't even audition, basically got a phone call or an email from J.J. Abrams. He says, "You want to play Scotty?" He goes, "Yeah, I would have." And he says, "I would have done it for free. I would have even paid to be in this movie."
Oh yeah.
I thought, look wise, he did not come close to Scotty. But sound wise and the act, he nailed the character.
He was the same character, which is what you want.
Yeah, but everybody else, I mean,
I thought he was over the top A little
Yes.
bit.
Spock and Kirk were definitely
They were good.
spot on.
The only one I felt was over the top,
Spot on.
and it just occasionally was Urban. Other than that, I thought they all sort of.
Damn
nailed
it, Jim! I'm a doctor, not a blank.
Yeah.
Well, my wife took half the planet in the divorce. You know, that was.
Yeah, that was a little too cheesy sometimes.
Yeah, there were at least 5 damn it Jims in the 3 movies.
Yeah, there was the Green Women. There was the Damn It Jim. There was the mind. You had the Nerve Pinch.
Yeah.
You had the red shirt. You had Scotty saying, "I'm giving her all she's got." Once, you know, you had that, and you had Pike in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
So they picked up a lot of homages to the original show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you get to 2, you get a tribble, and so
You get a triple, and you get another reference too.
Yeah. And then they reversed the role of Spock and Kirk of how Spock died. And then Kirk dies, and then they triple saves his life, basically, which is ironic. Is that ironic? Is Menza
He gets a
watching?
blood transplant from a tribble? Is that?
Yeah, or something like
pretty
that.
much, yeah. It's
The trouble. I don't know.
So, Dan, you said
pick.
you had a
Good
bunch
pick, Wade.
of freaky facts.
I do have some freaky facts.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Ooh, so freaky.
Oh, so freaky. To perfect the Vulcan salute. Can everybody here do the Vulcan salute?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know
It takes me a while.
Oh,
And the thumb is off to the side. It's not up.
Okay.
Thumb's off to the side.
yeah.
Yeah.
This is actually a Jewish, like a rabbi. My bar mitzvah, the rabbi did that. I'm like, live long and prosper.
Yeah.
That either.
And Leonard Nimoy actually invented that. That was not in the original script. Leonard Nimoy, who was Jewish, did come up with that. And to perfect exact requinto, had his fingers glued together because he couldn't do it. So to learn how to do it, J.J. Abrams actually glued his fingers together. The sound made by the motorcycle that Kirk rides when he's departing Starfleet Academy is the same sound used in the Jetsons when cars fly. They use the same sound. Yeah, Eric's doing
No
it.
Rosie, though.
Yeah.
Right. We mentioned this earlier, but when Chris Pine was cast as Captain Kirk, he did send a letter to William Shatner and did receive a reply containing Shatner's approval. So he kissed the ring. Speaking of sounds, the sound of the automatic doors opening the USS Enterprise. Anybody know what that was? It's a Russian train toilet flushing.
Wow.
So if you ever take a crap in a Russian train, you'll be like,
Wonder who was like, hey, we could use that sound.
yeah.
Holy artists. So talented.
Yes. And finally, this isn't really from this movie, but it sort of is. Beaming Down. Do you know where Beaming Down came from? It was in the original script of the original TV show because they didn't have a budget to shoot things landing.
Yeah,
so they came up with just beam them down. That's how that was invented. It was all for budget reasons.
Wow.
And in this movie, they obviously have the ability to show things landing because they did that a lot, but they also did a lot of beaming. And I like the effect that they did with the swirl. I like that better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's kind of
and a lot of the props in the original show were really cheap too. Some of McCoy's medical instruments were salt and pepper shakers.
you got salt in my eye. I thought also that the would you like a little?
How much you want on this wound?
Tell me when to stop.
Would you like the pepper? Also, it did look like the communicators in this were actually Motorola's. I mean, they looked very much like cell phones. They worked pretty far away too.
Yeah.
But those are as freaky as the facts as I got.
I like it. I like.
And I like the actor playing the captain in the opening scene. I thought he was really good. Trying to remember what I remember him from, but I can't remember off the top of my head. Was it 24 maybe? But he.
Oh, Kelvin. Was it he?
No, he had a.
Or was the ship Kelvin?
He was. What was his name?
The ship was Kelvin. I can't remember his name.
Bruno or something like that.
Farhan Tahir was the actor's name. Yeah.
Oh.
I thought he was very good in his relatively short role.
Captain O'Hare got killed.
I know.
We were looking on the screen.
Okay.
To see what his name was.
Anton Yelchin, of course, played Chekhov, and he sadly died
Yep.
In real life, at 27, he got driven over by his own Jeep Cherokee.
Yep.
That's never good.
No, and
No,
they
and
said that in the next movie they will kill off Chekhov. Chekhov will not be recast.
He did remind me in some of the really more in some of the interviews on the extras than in the movie where he was doing the thick Russian accent. He has a lot of similar mannerisms and vocal mannerisms to Tom Holland, of all people.
Oh, yeah.
He was super young too. He was like, I mean, he was so young.
Well, he was 17, as he said in the movie.
He was 17, yes.
Wait, okay, so Dan is still frozen, but I can hear him sometimes. I can hear what he's
that's weird.
It's kind of weird. But you're talking about Chekhov. Did you talk about like the guy who he died in real life?
Yeah.
Yeah. Talk about that.
Yep, it was the infamous Jeep where the control could look like it was in park when it was still really in neutral.
Yeah.
Yeah, yep.
That's what I thought we were talking about. And then I was like, I can hear what he's saying, but it chops up, but I can't see him moving, so I can't read his lips. That's weird.
Now, that's one thing I think from the first time we watched it, that I liked was the very beginning, how it started out with total action. You know, I mean,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Try that, but this
grabs you right from the beginning.
Although I will say that Bana didn't have to have the widest emotional range in this role. I mean, it was just fury nonstop every time he was on screen.
Yeah, it took me a while to. I'm like, I know that face. The other one that was Chris Hemsworth obviously was George Kirk, and then
yes,
the guy
Winona Ryder.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Was she? Who was she?
Wait,
she was his mother.
No, Jennifer Morrison was his mother. Her name is Winona Kirk.
No, Spock's mom.
Spock's mom. Yeah, sorry.
Oh,
The
because I
girl
saw
from
Winona.
Beetlejuice?
Yeah.
Yes.
And from Stranger Things.
I never knew
Yeah,
that.
she's been doing stuff.
And Wednesday
And
Addams.
I think she was in.
That's right. She was Wednesday.
Yeah.
Wasn't
She was
Yes.
Wednesday. Yeah.
No, that was
Christina-
Christina Ricci.
Oh,
No, I'm thinking of the other.
That's what I thought. I was like,
I went the wrong way. Sorry.
He's
Everyone's
an
super
actor.
hit. How about that?
Look at that. We cast her in that. And all of us cast her in that.
I think it's fine.
She wasn't it.
She had some of her scenes cut though. There were some scenes in the deleted scenes that I won't call them plot holes. It was sort of a little weird how they figured out how Captain Kirk figured out of virtually no evidence it's a trap. And there's actually some scenes that gave a little more background to that and what signal it was that Uhura picked up and things like that. So it actually made a little more sense with some of those scenes in there.
And Greg
He just says,
Grunberg.
"What? There's an ion storm. It must be a trap." Like, what?
It was a little quick.
Greg Grunberg, who was in this movie as just the voice, but then he was on the base station, I think in the third one. He was also in Heroes. And he was also in Star Wars.
Yes, he was.
One of the Star Wars.
He gets around.
He does get around. J.J. Abrams really likes him.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you ever do a show about series that fell off from the first season to the second, Heroes could be your poster child.
Yeah, they did not. We watched a few episodes of the second season and we're just done.
And the third season, they tried to portray it as a big comeback. We got it figured, and it was just as bad in a different way, but it was just as bad.
First season was excellent.
It was.
Yeah.
This is a fun movie.
Yeah, definitely. I kind of liked how they you got to see a little more of the youth of Spock and Kirk, so you kind of understand them a little better.
Yeah, but kids in movies sometimes don't work. The young cocky Spock and Kirk were not my favorite parts of this movie.
Right, I agree.
I thought it was a little annoying.
I didn't quite grasp the idea of young Vulcan kids being bullies. That seemed a little weird.
It's strange because it's like you have to have some sort of feeling in order to bully somebody.
But
You know what I mean?
the Vulcan lore isn't that they are emotionless race. It's that they have emotions that they have learned through intense study and meditation and procedures to discipline to control.
Right.
So, but the thing is, they were bullying him in a purely non-emotional way, which was just weird.
Now Adam says these are alternate versions of Spock and Kirk.
Yeah.
But as kids, are they alternate versions?
Yeah, at that point, how much would the timelines have diverged?
Yeah, I don't think the timeline
Well, he
diverged.
didn't have his father. Yeah, he didn't have his father growing up.
Yeah,
and
he didn't have
in
his
the
father,
original
yeah.
timeline, he had his father as a major influence, right?
But
that's
Spock
right.
would have been very similar.
Spock would have been very similar. But
Yeah.
but I understand that, so Spock would just close his eyes and imagine being in another universe. And get rid of everything else from his universe, so not to distract himself to get to this new universe.
Okay, somewhere in time. I get it.
Well, it was. I partially agree with Adam. It's sometimes better to not try to over-explain time travel. So just say he flew through a wormhole and just leave it at that is probably good enough.
Yeah.
It is true. The red matter. You got to have the red matter.
Now you're getting. I was going to bring this up. I remember the first time I saw this, I went out there going, "Good movie. What in the world was the red matter?" Come on. Not only what is it, but if one drop can cause an entire planet to explode, to collapse into a black hole, why does Spock have tractor trailers full of the stuff he's hauling around the universe?
So Dave, you're saying what's the matter?
Exactly. Yeah. Maybe I read too much into it.
Oh, wow!
And then you've got Chekhov, who's Russian, who they call the Reds. All right.
The Sulu fencing stuff was fun. That was a nice little running gag. That was cute.
Yeah.
Oh my!
But back to Kirk. Well, he actually, even though he had an alternative reality there, when he met Spock later on, he found out about how his dad and Spock's reality was. So there was a little bit of kind of mingling there that kind of brought back.
One of the deleted scenes shows, what do they call it? Spock Prime walking through when they're all getting ready to go on the shuttles and stuff, and him walking through, and Sarek is just standing there, and he just sort of almost like he felt him walk by and just turns around to half see what was that. Because there's his son, who's much older than he is.
Yes.
Well,
there were a few nitpicks I had, but the only one that ever really bothered me was the red matter.
Yeah, the red matter. Yeah,
Yeah, I just assumed I'm not a Trekkie enough that I didn't know about the red matter.
No, it was a pure invention that it was, it was a MacGuffin.
It was kind of like
just something you invent and don't try to overthink it, but it was a little silly.
It was kind of like the red cast member that dies, so it just
it was expendable matter.
Yes.
All right, well, shall we score this puppy before?
The EriDan rating bot 6000. EriDan rating 6000. EriDan now activated.
All right, I might have been hovering over the button.
You cut him off.
I was just saying before Eric falls asleep. I get to finish my sentence.
It hits the button.
Eric did start his first day at work today, so he's a little tired.
Yeah.
He's lovely.
His first days are rough.
Oh, good.
You're out of practice.
Very out of practice. It's been a long time since the first day.
Yeah.
So Dan, where are we going to start?
We should always start with Wade.
Of course.
Okay.
Start with Wade.
Actually, after watching it again, I think I kind of liked it better than even the first time I saw it. So I'm going to go with a 90 on this one.
Nice.
The first time we saw it, we were at the drive-in and it was raining. And we had
That's
3 little
harder.
kids with us, so I think it would be better the second time.
And before we get to Reagan, we stood up and got in her way at one point, and she was only probably 5, maybe, and she was like trying to push us out of the way so she could keep seeing the movie.
Wow.
Yeah, she was
Dedication.
like, "What are you
I
doing?
was like, move."
Yeah. It was pretty enjoyable. There were some cheesy moments, and it was funny because I thought, man, they have run the gamut. They had the snow thing, and I was like, I was thinking of one of the Bond movies with Pierce Brosnan. It was all snow. I'm like, holy cow, they just pulled something from every movie, didn't they? And I remembered the fencing scene as being on a bigger platform for some reason and very barren. I didn't realize it was so small and covered with stuff that could hurt them. I don't know why I didn't remember that. Just my general thoughts there about the movie. Yeah, I think I'm going to give it an 89. It was pretty good. There were some, like I said, some cheesy things. And toward the middle, that when they're all fighting and nitpicking, I was really annoyed by that. I was like, come on, really? That's the backstory that is like, really? Come on. Do I care?
During the fight scene on the drill, Margaret and I turned to each other basically and said, I don't remember who said what, but it was like, oh, what a great coincidence. There's exactly 2 of the enemies for them to fight.
Yeah. Where are the 5?
All right. Well, I guess I will go next because I pulled myself over to the big picture. I love this movie. I'm not going to lie. I've been watching the old Star Treks lately and for the past, pandemic and a half. And I have to say that it's, I like it. I like J.J. Abrams. I know a lot of people were pretty upset about, some of the changes that J.J. Abrams made, and they just like to complain about J.J. Abrams for some reason. But from Lost to Fringe to even some of the Star Wars to this, I like J.J. Abrams. J.J. Abrams grew up. His dad worked on the Paramount lot, and so he used to be around this stuff. And I don't know. There's a whole bunch of stories behind that. I'm actually giving it a better score than Wade gave it, and he picked the movie.
Wow.
I'm giving it a 92.
Nice. Okay.
Whoa.
Yeah, I like them apples or that red matter.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's on me. I only heard half of what he said, and then it was me.
Oh, Reagan's next.
Sorry, now it's you.
Oh, I can see you. Whenever you're not on the big screen, it's like, oh.
Okay, just keep her.
You're not frozen anymore. Anyway, whenever I don't remember if I watched it the first time in the drive-in or not. I remember watching it at the drive-in with Get Smart, I think. That's what I remember. I don't know. I remember it, but it was so good. I remember I had to have it for Christmas. Like, it was one of my favorite movies at the time that I'd ever seen. It was just so much fun to watch, And I just thought it was so funny, and it was I don't know, it was just really good whenever I was a kid. And so I was able to watch half of it this week as like a refresher because I seen it already enough times to talk about it. But I liked how it, even though it was more I don't know, like the CGI was better and they had better effects and stuff like that, and it was little like there was like a whole movie, so it was like more intense, I guess, if that makes sense. I don't know the right word for it, but it was a lot like the TV show, and I had seen some episodes of it whenever I was a kid, and it just was like it still had the same cheesiness and stuff, and like Dave was talking about with like the 2 people, like of course there's only 2 people for them to fight, like it had that kind of thing to it that you would see in the TV show, and I just like enjoyed that. But I also really like action stuff. So it was like, yep, punch somebody in the face. That'd be good. Like the bar fight. But I don't know. I just really loved it as a kid. And like rewatching the parts of it that I was able to this week, it just like, I don't know. It just hyped me back up for it. And I'll have to watch the whole thing again. But I think that I would give it a 92 because it's just so much fun to watch.
Nice.
Well, there we go.
Some Trek love.
Dave.
Okay, well, I grew up on Star Trek. I mean, that was required viewing when I got home from school. Anyone dare try to pull me away from the TV when Star Trek was on? Get teeth marks in their arms.
Wow!
That was. There were other shows I loved and watched. I watched The Munsters and I watched all kinds of stuff. But Star Trek was the thing that was just I had to see it, and so in some ways that made this movie better because very rarely does a movie reboot / remake of a beloved franchise catch the right spirit. There's usually something significant wrong, whether it's bad casting, whether it's trying to take it in the wrong direction from what the original show was. And they fell into none of those traps. It had the feel of the original show, which is hard to do. So I give them a huge amount of credit. I give Abrams a lot of credit, the writers, the actors, great job. There were some things, but some of them were deliberately cheesy. They're loading photon torpedoes by hand.
Yeah.
It's like an old torpedo movie. They have they're pulling it in, shoving them in. It's like, what in the world? This is a state-of-the-art starship that can go faster than light, and they're loading the weapons by hand like a 1942 submarine movie. Very strange, but fun.
Quick tornado.
The red matter, as I said, bugged me. Why does Spock's ship spin?
Yeah, makes it faster, I guess.
That was a little strange.
A great question.
But again, it didn't ruin anything. It was just kind of weird. And the beginning, there was a little... When I hadn't seen this possibly since shortly after it came out. We got the Blu-ray when it came out, and Target was offering a special edition one that was in a plastic model Enterprise. So the discs are actually stored in the saucer disc of the Enterprise. Very cool. And
Also known as the sombrero.
so when I first saw the opening, there were a couple things that made me think, is this not as good as I remember? Because much as I liked the captain, there were a few cliches right off the bat, like, oh no, manual operation only. I'm going to have to stay with the ship.
Yeah.
That cliche has been done so many times.
Yeah.
Yes.
And again, massive future medicine going, it's a boy, like they were surprised, It was a little bit strange. But it didn't, none of that ruined my enjoyment of the movie. It was just sort of a little bit of cheesiness. Strangely enough, because I had decided this score before people gave theirs, I also settled on a 92.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the thing I kind of liked about the movie too, was how it kind of rebooted the characters so that it could keep going on. I mean, you're not going to make an old Star Trek movie with the old people in it. Worth watching, I guess you would say.
There's definitely no going back once you blow up the planet Vulcan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My mom likes Injured Reserve. Oh, IR. She meant to type it. I liked it and give it a 90.
Wow.
And she also said, she texted me this. She never saw any of the new ones because by 2009 they weren't going to the movies much anymore. But she did enjoy them, and they were Trekkies from the TV days. So this is the first time she watched all three of them.
Oh, wow.
Adam has the score still, and of course we have Sleepy Man.
Well, Sleepy Man is going to bring you all down a little bit. No, it's it's a fine movie, right? My memories of this movie were not as good for me this time. I think last time I really was like, ooh, the time travel, I loved how they connected Spock. Without that sort of reveal and just watching it, it was good. It's a good movie. But I said we watched all three. I felt Into the Darkness so much more engaging. That it's like, to me, that's a 90. You get Benedict Cumberbatch in there as a wonderful.
That's the kicker.
And so this to me is like it's good. It's good, and so I gave it an 80. Because to me, it's like, I feel like there are other movies that UHF.
Sergeant Peppers.
There are other movies that I would watch again over this, and
Like
so for me, as far as rewatchability, it just didn't do it for me. But I don't think I had any impact on the score, because wait till you see Adam's score.
You ready for this, ladies and gentlemen?
Oh,
45.
Wow! Great movie.
We found it already.
This is a love letter to the original series. Only weak point was the villain, but even that wasn't too bad. Good cast and good story. 95.
Adam likes fives. You've ever noticed he tends to give things fives? 55, 95.
This is right in the Super Troopers territory, if I'm not mistaken, for Adam.
Could be. I could verify that. If we that's a very high score for Adam. Let me see when our last where did Adam give Spaceballs a 95.
That's the same score as Spaceballs.
Interesting.
Office Space received a 95. Let me see. Austin Powers received the 99. That was his highest score ever.
Whoa.
Ooh.
Did he pick that one?
I don't think he
don't remember. He may not have. There were multiple people that mentioned
it. He gave 99 to Shawshank. He gave the Goonies a 95. So there, he's given quite a few 95s, actually.
Right on.
So that's awesome.
That's good.
I don't remember when we watched Super Troopers. There's too many movies here. Actually, yes, he did also give Super Troopers a 95. So there you go.
So the only thing higher than 95 he's given was he did give a 99.
299. So 299. Excellent. Well, that's fantastic. That does put Star Trek very high on our list.
Yes, it would. When 80 is the lowest.
And when was the last time Eric had the lowest score on a movie?
Oh, let's see. Super Troopers, maybe. Take the Money and Run.
Okay.
Dave has a list.
Now he's not going to rate the sequels very highly. The sequels to me were like good episodes of TV.
Yeah, like I said, I have fond memories of the second one, but the third one is just for whatever reason has disappeared from my brain.
Yeah, Star Trek Beyond. I will never watch it again. I did not
Beyond is not. It's not worth it.
No.
Well, it isn't
That's
Abrams.
the one we
That's
saw
one
in the
thing
movie
that's
theater,
against it.
Yes.
What do you say, Dad?
Is that the one we saw in the movie theater?
No, we saw Into Darkness at Pittsburgh. Whenever Grandma went to the Penguins game, we watched Into Darkness.
Oh, is that it? Okay.
The second one.
So Into Darkness is the second. So Khan's in the second one.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
Oh, now
And it is crazy to see Spock being the one going Khan.
Oh, that was crazy! He like
It
right
really
up
has
his
fun.
face.
All right, so Star Trek is number 72. No, I'm kidding. It's so Star Trek coming in at a 90.
Even 90.
Slightly below this is Spinal Tap and slightly above the original Austin Powers movie. How about that?
Wow.
Yeah, that's a very impressive score.
That's a good one.
Wow.
There was one point when Scotty was going through the water. It reminded me so much of the Chomper scene in Galaxy Quest, where you go, "Why is this here? Why is this even here?"
That's awesome. All right, so let's figure out what we're gonna watch next week. All right, time to visit the Wheel of Reels. Boy, we've gotten such a variety. Let's see if once again we end up on Why So Serious. Now let's find out what we're gonna get. Here we go with a little spin. There it is. Should have seen that coming. Okay, here we go. Let's take a little look over. Oh, it's been a little while since we've had a chance to look at the big giant wheel of movies. For our Why So Serious wheel. So basically anything that's not a comedy is on this wheel. This is your chance to either add a spot or add an existing vote for an existing movie if you want. Not going to read them all because it's really irrelevant. If you suggest something that's already on, we'll put it on. If you suggest something that's not on, we'll put it on. So
I'm definitely not adding anything new. It's got enough on it.
I'm gonna take Star Trek off.
I guess, yeah, I can definitely do that.
I want to add a movie called The Great Santini.
Oh, yeah.
You seen
No,
that
it's
one?
Star Trek 2. That's the original.
Long
right?
time ago.
Yeah. They took us, when I was in boot camp, they took us to see that
It
movie.
took us.
If we see it, you'll understand why. But
Yeah.
He said took us.
took us.
What
Yeah.
one do I have on here?
Nice.
All
We're gonna
right.
give Stacey a chance to give her name drop.
What's
that's
the name,
right.
Mom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Feel terrible.
I can pull that
She was
picture up.
trying to get it in there, but it wouldn't come up right.
What?
You were trying to get it on Facebook.
We're talking about you.
I know. I'm talking to your dad's talking.
All right. Oh,
I put a thing in the private chat that goes to his Facebook page for his business, which is the Star Trek original series set tour.
Yeah.
James Cawley is he was in a scene in the movie, when we went to the drive-in to see it, I was trying to find him, but we're in the drive-in in the dark in the rain, and I never saw him. So I was watching from the comfort of my home, and it was easy to find him. There he is. So yeah, that's James Cawley. He owns and runs the original set tour in Ticonderoga, New York. And how he started that was he was doing fan films, and he had the blueprints for the original set given to him. And he started putting it together for his fan films. Well, now it's almost complete. William Shatner has been there 3 times, is coming back in November. George Takei will be there in a couple of weeks. A lot of them have been there. So it's been really cool. Wade and I would like to go. So
would I. Why am
So
I?
I actually watched some of their the films that they did.
Yes.
Yeah.
They did 2 or 3 of them, and they basically, I think one of them was the opposite of the evil one, like when Spock is evil and Kirk ends up he's beamed like to the opposite world.
Okay.
They did the exact, because the show never went to the other.
So the opposite of Mirror Mirror.
Right. They did the other mirror.
Okay.
And I can't find them online anywhere because I think Paramount might have sued them.
Not them, but he took them down. They sued someone else, and they have new rules, and they can't have fan films that use over a certain amount of money, and the people who were in the original cannot be in them. And he had Nichelle Nichols was in one. I think Takai was in one. Barbara Luna was in one.
Wow.
He had people doing this because they enjoyed it. He does have permission to run this tour site. It's like through Paramount, CBS, whoever does back him in some way. I'm not sure what way. I don't know, financially or just because he has permission. So I met him on the Wild Wild West fan site because he was going to do a Wild Wild West fan film. And he had started production on it. And then he pulled everything when they changed all the rules. So,
yeah, there were 2 fan series that were running. There was Star Trek New Voyages and Star Trek Continues.
He is New Voyages.
Okay, and they started out pretty rough, in my opinion, as you would expect. But they did significantly improve as they went.
He has he wants things to be right. And when they started, they didn't have money, and so that's
like I remember. I don't remember which of the series it was. One of them did a continuation of the Doomsday Machine. You know, basically the giant flying cigar that was swallowing everything in its path. And some of the stuff about it was good, but they completely missed some other things, and it was kind of cringeworthy in places. But they got much better as they went.
Yeah, this is the one I saw. It was the Star Trek Continues. It was the other one.
Yeah, this isn't his. This isn't James.
Yeah, because the guy that did this one is Vic something, who's like the main guy. But this
that's
one
a
was
bad wig. Wow.
I know, but
emotional.
They copied the lighting.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
It was done pretty well.
Yeah, when Paramount came out with that rule that no one who had any involvement with the original series or movies could have anything to do with the fan series, it basically shut them both down.
It did. And he just said, okay. And he followed that rule. He did it, but he pulled like his Wild Wild West fan film, and they were just starting. He had sent me the script to read to see if it went with canon. I didn't really think it did. And I didn't like the script, but I didn't care. Just make it. Just do it. And we'll worry about that later, and you can make a better one. Because I just wanted it done. And then they canceled it all. And I was depressed. Because he was going to be Jim West.
Was that Paramount also?
They are, as far as I understand. That's where the DVDs say,
Yeah.
2 million views. Yeah, all the episodes of this other one are still up on YouTube.
Wow.
Because they're all unique actors, I guess.
So I don't think I have anything to add to the wheel because there's enough on it.
That's right.
I do, but as always, I am stuck between 2.
You're always stuck between 2.
I know there's so many good ones because I really want to put Finding Nemo somewhere. I love Finding Nemo with a whole passion. Okay,
musical,
but yeah, Finding Nemo the musical. If you're ever in Disney World, I'm gonna see a good musical. It's not really that great, but watching it, I cry every time. Anyways. I was stuck with that, but I watched Cruella yesterday, and it was the coolest. I hate remakes. I will not watch them.
Cruella
and it was
fantastic. So good.
It was so good.
Well, it's not really a remake either. It's in this. It's obviously the same character, but it's not a remake.
The prequel sort.
There were so many good Easter eggs and stuff like that. It was really good. We finished it this morning because it was so long, but it's free on Disney Plus now. It was so good. So I'm stuck between Finding Nemo and Cruella. Because I just really like both of them.
Well, you can pick one next week too.
So we're getting Disney.
Yes. I guess.
Adam wants to do Unforgiven with Clint Eastwood.
Ooh, good movie.
Already added that. That's great. Good choice.
Okay, Reagan, pick one.
I love Gene Hackman too.
Okay. Ma, pick left or right.
Left.
Cruella.
There it is.
Look at that
You
one.
never make a decision.
No. As always, you know.
So not your fault, no.
Is that how you decided schools too?
Yeah.
Throw another space on here
Yeah,
for the
I told her
Matrix.
where she was going.
Oh,
Yeah, I had
Matrix
no
space.
idea. I didn't know what school was.
What'd you put, Eric?
I added a space for the Matrix. Another one. We had one space for the Matrix already since.
Okay.
Yesterday was Thomas Anderson's birthday.
Mr. Anderson.
Mr. Anderson, we missed you. I've told that story before that whenever we travel, because my wife's last name is Anderson, I always show up and they go, right this way, Mr. Anderson. And I go, just call me Neo. And they usually never get it.
No.
So I'm always Mr. Anderson when we travel. I'm going to throw another. Oh my God, there's like 30 on there for Grease.
Which wheel are we on?
Serious.
Yeah, the drama, comedy, not
Not
anything that's
anything
comedy.
Comedy.
The answer.
You know what? I'm going to do another one for 12 Monkeys.
Ooh,
What?
not bad.
It's been a while since I've seen that movie.
12 months.
No, Eric, no.
I would watch that movie.
Did you type?
I bet you would.
What did you
Another
type?
one in there for October Sky.
Yes, it's called Head Meets Multiplicity. It turns into 12 monkeys.
That would be pretty good.
How many Davy Joneses would there be?
Wade,
It'd have to be 3.
Did you want to put a thing on, Wade?
No.
He
No?
did put on. He
Yeah, I
put
put
the
Great Santini on
Great
there. It was on
Santini.
there.
Oh, that's right. You put the Great Santini in here. All right. So I think that's everybody. And Wade and
Anyone else?
Dave, you say you're abstaining?
There's enough on there.
All right. There's plenty there.
Just tell me.
But let's find out what happens next week as we all get to watch Iron Man.
Iron Man.
That'll get a bunch off the wheel.
There you go. That is definitely going to remove a couple of spots from the wheel. That has definitely been on there for quite some time.
The Ozzy Osbourne one, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Of course, absolutely.
The best one.
I think we had 6 spots on there. So that reduces the wheel to only 82 spots. Now.
Not the Iron Giant, the Iron Man.
You can watch the Iron Giant if you want. If you want to watch all 3
It's a
of
good
the
movie.
Iron Man movies,
It's a very good movie.
feel free to watch those too. Awesome. Well, there we go. Iron Man for next week. All right. So before I fall asleep, which is we're getting dangerously close.
While you're
Let's talk about what else people have been watching.
The audience is listening.
The audience is listening. So what have people been entertaining themselves with outside of entirely too much Star Trek?
This week, at school, we had our first leadership formation group, which is a bunch of classmates of mine, and we had to introduce ourselves and say what our favorite movie was. So, I was going to let you know some of the movies that came up were Princess Bride was one of them. What's the other ones? Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
Dang, there was another one that was like in our top ones.
Shawshank.
No. But one that came up with might be interesting. I don't know if anybody ever saw it. It was called Imitating Life.
Imitation of Life?
Yeah, maybe The Imitation of Life. Yeah. I guess there's like a really old one and a newer one, but it sounded interesting too. And then my professor, who's the leader of the group, his favorite movie was, Blade Runner. And I'm like, wow, that didn't score really well. But he is a systematic theology person, teacher. So really, I'm like, well, I guess that kind of works for what he likes. So
yeah. I follow a podcaster who the Mad Max Fury Road is absolutely his favorite movie of all time, and will not stop talking about.
And that's actually a very divisive movie among Mad Max fans.
Yeah.
Well, I've been watching a lot of 9/11 stuff. There's a couple different shows, and specials. There's one on Netflix right now that is called Turning Point. I don't know how many episodes are. I'm on episode 3. Some of the footage, and there's another one. I forget what streamer thing it was on, but it was about the garage on 26th Street, New York, that the FBI had to use as the headquarters.
Oh wow!
During 9/11, and the new FBI director Robert Mueller came in and said, we're going to take everybody, we're taking this back to Washington. And they fought and said, no, we like to keep it here. And it was the first time you had all the agencies working together. And literally, it was a garage. They had to tow 500 cars out of this garage and turn it into the space. And it's where they got all the information. They had computers in there. The computers are these huge laptops, the big monitors. So it was really interesting to watch. And then the other one's been pretty interesting. And the other show that I mentioned, I couldn't remember the name of it, was Project Power. It's a movie, and I swear there was a TV show that did the same thing, but they developed a pill that everybody got a superpower. Excuse me.
Oh, I've heard of that. Yeah.
And the superpower could be something that could kill you, or you could fly, or you could have invisibility. Everybody got a different one, and you only got it for 5 minutes when you took this pill. And it's Joseph Gordon-Levitt is the cop in New Orleans who's trying to find the bat. I don't know. It just seemed very familiar. Maybe I saw it before. I don't know. Came out a year ago.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, I think there was a TV show that did something similar to that.
Yeah, I remember seeing
maybe Flash did a storyline with that. I don't know. It just seemed very familiar. Plus, I watched the Steelers win, and I watched the Seahawks win. That was fun. Little football weekend.
And the Browns lose. Always good.
Oh, that's always great. These are football teams, Eric. We're talking about.
I've heard of some of them. I saw some people cosplaying football players at Walmart. I thought that was pretty cool. It's good to see some sports nerds out there getting it done.
Okay.
It's cute that people want to dress up and put on jerseys like they're players. That's cute. Dan will be very excited. I watched the first 2 episodes of Taxi this week with my kids, and my 16-year-old Danny DeVito just cracked them up the entire time.
The funniest scene though is when he comes out of the cage the first time. And
you yes, huge laughs. Huge laughs.
Which is the exact same thing they did in one of the Star Treks at the beginning when Kirk is giving I think it's in the third one. He's giving this this gift, and you see these huge lions, and then they like come down and they're like this big. It was very similar gag.
It was a similar gag. Yeah. So it was fun to watch. They definitely held up. I don't know when Jim Ignatowski joins the cast because he's not in the first 2 episodes.
No.
So I don't know when we see Christopher Lloyd join.
I think he starts coming in when Andy Kaufman starts kind of fizzling.
Interesting
story. Andy Kaufman actually had Tony Clifton, his alter ego, his character. Part of his contract negotiation was Tony Clifton had to also get a role on the show and a parking space.
Oh my God.
And so he would show up in character as Tony Clifton and like fight with he got fired. And they had to go in and say, listen, Andy, we have to fire Tony Clifton. He's like, whatever. I mean, it's just a nut. I mean, the guy was just a genius at the same time.
He was kind of brilliant.
Yeah.
Man on the Moon. That really should be a movie I'm going to put on the wheel next time.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Wait,
Reagan?
So before I say mine, Dan was all mixed around again. What were the 9/11 TV shows or whatever you watched?
One was called, it's on Netflix. It's called Turning Point.
Turning Point.
9/11
on Netflix.
And there are 5 episodes.
What'd you cancel Netflix for, Reagan?
Yeah, Alex,
get a new email address. And there's footage that I'd never. I mean, it's just we all remember when it happened, but Reagan probably doesn't remember. But just to see some of the footage, they're like, I never saw that footage. And when you see, like there's like the Fox News station in New York, the local Fox affiliate had a camera like on the ground, and it was running as the first plane hit. So you don't see it, but you hear it.
Yeah.
And you hear people go, "What the hell was that?" And then he pulls the camera up, and you see all the smoke coming out.
Yep.
And just
wait, they have like other footage? I've seen the firefighter one.
Oh, there's footage I'd never seen before, and but it's kind of gross too because you do see some of the people jumping.
Yeah, that was
they
bad.
do show that. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I watched a lot of that because it's always interested me a lot because it's like something that happened whenever I was alive, but I don't remember any of it at all. It's like something that I wish that I was able to remember. And so I watched. It started over at Disney World a couple years ago. I think it was for like the 15th anniversary. They started at like 8:48. I think it was like after like the first one had already hit. They were like, "Oh, breaking news!" and they started it so we could watch it like live.
Like in real time.
And it was so, that's always been so interesting to me. So I find YouTube videos that are like 7 hours long of like the whole day up until 5 o'clock at night. I don't watch it that long, but like just the beginning, because it's so interesting to me, like how you see people like, what was it? Like, was it a plane? And people are like, I don't know. It sounded like a missile going over my head and like all this stuff like that. And then you see people go in to help, like to set up the fire and everything. And then the second one hits terrorism. Immediately, every single person just knows. And it's crazy to me. Like I don't know. It just really gets me. And I like to watch those, like, because I feel like that's something important that we don't talk about in school. Like, I'm in college, and there is a girl who is 17 years old, born in 2003, and she has no idea what my teacher was talking about. I was like, what?
Wow. If you reach 17 and you have no idea what 9/11 was, then there's some lack in your education.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, she knew what it was, but she was like, we never talked about it.
This also goes into Afghanistan. It talks about why we went to Afghanistan. It talks about why Afghanistan is Afghanistan. And it goes back to Reagan, different Reagan. But I mean, it goes all the way back to 1980, basically, when they're trying to get the Russians out. And how stuff that we did and stuff we didn't, and who Osama bin Laden was. I mean, it's so intense.
Oh yeah, we've created some of our biggest enemies.
Yeah. I'll have to watch that one.
Yeah,
but that's what I watched those.
Yeah, on 9/11, on the original 9/11, Reagan was watching PBS cartoons in the morning, and then I'm listening to the radio, and eventually they said about a plane hitting the World Trade Center, so I jump up and turn the TV over, and then we see it. So that was the first time we saw it. We didn't get to see it right away.
That's it's funny because there was somebody that said when they got the phone call, they're like, turn on the TV, and they go, what station? They go, doesn't matter. Apparently PBS. If you're on PBS,
PBS didn't have it right away.
No, PBS didn't have it right away. It was on the radio. Because that's what I said. I said, you were watching PBS. How do you know this happened?
Yeah, I think I've told this story. I know I told it on Clutch Radio the other day because it was 9/11. I was sound asleep and the TV was on, and I was having dreams about these weird planes with no wings, and woke up just as they showed the other one hit the building live. Adam mentions, in a happier note, speaking of Los Angeles, there's a new show called La Brea. It's about the tar pit and there being a big sinkhole, and there's another like world inside of Earth.
Oh.
And like I said, when I was just there, they're putting the subway system right up Wilshire Boulevard, which is where the La Brea tar pits are. I'm like, how could they dig there? Because literally it's on top of the La Brea tar pits. I think I used literally properly.
You literally did.
Isn't that ironic?
Oh my word!
Don't you think?
Now, down in Ambridge, they're going to be shooting that new movie or TV series, the League of Their Own.
Yeah.
And I'm driving past this old factory, and about 2 weeks ago, all of a sudden it started getting spruced up and stuff, and I'm like, what the heck, And then today I finally figured out, because I keep seeing they had these big things like Rosie the Riveter and stuff on the side of it, and I'm like, I wonder what's going in there, Well, then today they have Rockford Tool and Die up there, so I'm thinking, and they're building the baseball field right across the street from it, so it's like that factory is the backdrop for the baseball field. So, now I get it.
That's cool, though.
I will have to take a picture of it, and
then you can go visit the gazebo and beaver from Gung Ho.
It's not the
it's not there anymore?
It's there, but that's not the original one. They actually moved it, and they had to rebuild it because they wanted it away. So, but
she knows her Gung Ho trivia.
You can drive.
Don't mess with Stacy and Gung Ho.
He's Gung Ho about Gung Ho.
Wheel?
Why isn't that on the wheel?
We should have the Pittsburgh wheel. It's all movies about or filmed in Pittsburgh.
Yes.
Fish that save Pittsburgh.
Yes.
Yeah, Creep Show.
Sudden Death, Desperate Measures.
Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, Dawn of the Dead.
No, it's Dawny of the Dead.
Oh yeah.
Dawny.
Goodness.
No, I like whenever I go to the bank in Bridgewater, because I have like the Federal Credit Union for Beaver. I like to go over the bridge, and I'm like, "Oh, Michael Keaton was under here." From home, like I tell my friends, and they're like, "I don't know what's going on," but they're like, "Okay, whatever." No, yeah, we.
Actually, the Dawn of the Dead. Now, my mom said this, so I'll take it as probably true. The cemetery at the very beginning is her great grandmother was buried in that cemetery at the very beginning.
It's in Evans City.
She was in it.
Which
is she still dead?
Name drop.
Is that a name drop? I was gonna say.
Yeah, I don't know what her name was.
I think it's the one in Evans City.
Yeah,
I'm so upset that Eric has a job because we're not gonna have any new name drops.
You'll get new name drops eventually.
Once he gets the hang of being at work.
Well, yeah, once he's not exhausted by 10 o'clock every night.
Yeah, exactly. You just won't get them necessarily same day. You know.
Eric's working at Geneva.
I am very happy.
Back to where it started.
Did you see Emma today?
I didn't see anybody today. I a lot of meetings, nothing but meetings all day.
Oh my god!
Oh, you are back to work.
Yeah. It was wonderful to meet the people I worked with. So
that's good.
It's awesome.
And isn't the building you're in is like basically the house you grew up in, right?
It's probably a similar style.
It's very similar looking from the front.
Yeah. So it's kind of awesome to get into this old renovated house and get to spend time in there. Yeah, it's kind
Is that the one across from the Old Main?
No. This is they bought some houses along Route 18.
Okay.
And renovated those for various purposes. So it's sort of but yeah, it's nice. It's kind of cool.
It's kind of invisible. You just look like you're in town, like in the homes. Interesting.
Yeah, so it is interesting because you're not really like in the main hub of campus. You have to walk over to the campus to get the stuff.
Okay.
Kind of neat though. Still kind of neat. So also kind of neat for next week's movie, identical Rotten Tomato ratings as Star Trek. Critic with a 94, audience with a number 1. Who would have gone with a 91? I was very shocked.
Jeff Bridges.
Jeff Bridges.
And the brief appearance of Terrence Howard.
Yes, you get a little bit of
And Ferran Tahir. Wasn't that the guy we just talked about?
That's where I knew him from. Iron Man.
Yeah. He was in and he was in 24. He's been in a lot of things.
We have watched all 4 of the episodes that are currently out. A new one's dropping tomorrow of Only Murders in the Building.
Oh yes,
it continues to be very intriguing, and a lot of guest stars and small roles for very surprisingly big names.
But it makes it super fun.
It does.
Yeah.
Oh! I just remember this. Sorry. So my friend has like a 65-inch TV, and I've been waiting for the Surf finals to come up. I even like have dressed up every day with my fancy shoes, like all the things. And it's not happened yet, so we just watch anything that we can for the rest of the day. And he's like a huge Marvel fan, and we started What If. So I've seen the first episode of that. We watched Cruella yesterday, which I will always talk about because it was so good. But we watched What If, and I'm kind of on the same side as you, Eric. I was not impressed. It felt like a weird fan fiction cartoon.
Yeah.
I didn't like that.
I like Marvel content, so I'll watch it, but
I
don't need it. Like if they can do it, I'd be okay.
It was weird. It was weird, like Peggy Carter, she's jacked up. It was so weird. I was like,
that's how the original comic book was. Because I used to read the original comic back in the 70s, What If? And it was, like, what if Bruce Banner had been bitten by the radioactive spider instead of Peter Parker? And it was always that kind of thing. And so,
Yeah, I don't hate it. I'm not like, it's terrible. No, it's like, all right, all right.
Yeah, they're cool concepts, but they're really...
Every episode I've watched, it feels rushed. They're trying to put so much content into it, but keep it short.
Right?
Are you saying this should be a longer show to tell the stories they're trying to tell?
I think it could be either longer or obviously this is for Marvel fans. you don't need. It's unnecessary to play out every scene how it might have been had Peggy Carter become Captain America. It's like they're trying to replay the entire Captain America Red Skull story in like 17 minutes, and it's like
it's weird.
But speaking of Marvel, we are this far burnt through our Scarlett Johansson candle, unable to release the jewelry. Still, it's still stuck in there.
Can you see what it is yet?
No, because it's just a silver packet. There's a silver packet in there, which you have to assume is at least heat resistant. Because you're burning both candles incredibly close to this jewelry. So
whenever it stops smelling like Scarlett Johansson and a lot like plastic, you'll know.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's
real quick update, Eric. I hate to do this to you. Michael Menza made a comment. He popped in.
That's terrible. How could you? No,
I know, but he said, "Got to let him know when we're doing Star Trek," because he called it Star Trek, and then he corrected himself, obviously. But I know he's a huge Trekkie.
Oh my!
He gives it a 96.
He gives it a 96.
Ooh. That's going to change the score just a little bit.
Yes, it is. That'll
probably time. It might give it an extra 1.
Let's. Do we want to
find 1,
out
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 people. It might go up.
Let me see here. Let me get a score in here. Blah 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 blah. Math.
we only put it on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter that we're doing it. Sorry that you're busy in Vegas.
Hard to keep up. It's hard to keep up.
I know, it's hard.
96. Actually doesn't change the score at all.
It changes the score. That's
from a 90 to a 90.67.
Okay.
So I will.
Change the score, but not the ranking.
Since you rounded it up.
What none of them are rounded?
91.
No rounding. There is no rounding, or we'd end up with like 8 91s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how about that? So yeah.
Well, Michael, the movie next week, we'll tell you now. I could have messaged him. You're right. PM you or DM you? I guess PM is probably a message. Iron Man next week, Michael. Mm-hmm. We know how you like Iron Man. So we might get a Menza.
We might.
We could watch all 3 and have an Iron Man triathlon.
No, there you go.
I have friends that'll force me into it, so they're watching.
I don't. You should not need to be forced to watch one of the best movies ever made.
I have like friends that are like OCD Marvel fans, like how I love Room, except they love all of Marvel. So
yeah, that's
a little
Eric.
more awkward to love all of Marvel that much.
That's Eric.
It's like a disease.
Yeah.
No, Eric has ones he's not as fond of.
That's just Quagmire.
He's not Incredible Hulkish, for example.
The good thing is I just watched all 3 Iron Men within the last couple of months. So Michael says yes, Iron Man triathlon.
Did you hear about Disney's announcement? They announced that all of the remaining movies for 2021 will be debuting in theaters.
Yeah.
Good.
Thanks to
I'm sure that was the impetus.
He made them. $140 million, best Labor Day opening of a movie ever.
And might give Scarlett Johansson a little more ammo for her lawsuit.
It might.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it would have been a pretty good opening for Black Widow if it would.
Even though it wasn't as good a movie in most people's eyes, it still would have done better than it did.
Yeah, everybody was waiting to see it. Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yeah. But Shang-Chi, seriously.
That was so good.
I did hear good things about it.
It's amazing. It's so good.
It was really, really good.
Target is clearancing their Morris dolls. So 50% off. So I have one back here. You can't see it. It's on my keyboard back there.
I don't know.
$5. I don't want to spoil the movie, so I don't. If you know who Morris.
How much is he?
It was
a finicky cat, right?
I'll be there tomorrow.
Hold on, let me grab it. Hold on. Again, this is a spoiler, so if you don't want to be spoiled, I almost threw it on my candle. So
yes,
adorable, and it's faceless.
I was going to say, is that its butt? Why are you showing?
No, that's his butt. That's his face. But don't mention it because he's sensitive about it.
He is.
Hey,
he doesn't realize.
Yeah.
So did I mention last week that I had watched the Rosemarie documentary, Wait for Your Laugh?
No.
It was really good. You know, Rosemary from the Dick Van Dyke Show.
Oh yeah, Rosemary, Maury Amsterdam, Mary Tyler Moore. Yes.
Right. Well, she was actually a child star and worked her entire life, from the time she was about 4 or 5. And that was really interesting. And she was a big part of the documentary. She was alive. She really wanted her story told. And Carl Reiner is on there. It was fascinating to listen to him talk about her being on the show. And she was really kind of mad. She thought she was going to be the female lead. And then it became Mary Tyler Moore. And she was kind of bad-mouthing that decision. And he said, listen, this show is about my family. And if you don't like it, you can just go away, please. And I'm like, dang. So, you know, just listening to him talk about that and how he believed in his, you know, I've never heard him talk about his work. I've heard him be funny, you know, and seen his work, but to hear him talk about his work, and she, you know, acquiesced. So it was really neat. And she, you know, her Al Capone was a big promoter of her, and she just, the mob was involved. It's really interesting. So it's on, I think it's on Hulu or Prime, and it's called Wait for Your Laugh. It was really good.
Yeah, and getting Rosemary and Maury Amsterdam, getting them as his writing partners in the office there, you got 2 really experienced, gifted, old school comics who just knew their craft like the back of their hand, and that was brilliant casting.
And actually, she knew Maury from the time she was 11. There was not enough information about that, but I'm like, what? Really? Tell me more. And of course, there wasn't enough.
That's awesome.
Also, Rafi went to high school with Maury Amsterdam's daughter.
Wow.
So he knew Maury Amsterdam back in the day.
He was so funny. I always loved him. I thought he was just the funniest thing. That deadpan.
Oh, that face of his was just incredible. He had the most expressive face. It was just incredible.
My God. I love that show just because of him.
And the Blu-ray release of that was one of the few shows of that era that was filmed on film. And they were actually able to go back, and they had the original film from that, and they rescanned it all for the Blu-ray releases. And the quality is just unbelievable.
Yeah. And I think that's what they show on TV, because some of them, they're just amazingly clear.
Yeah.
And I think, what did they do?
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
For a show from that era, as good as it looks, is just incredible. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Interesting. I did not know that.
All right. Well, Adam says he needs a PS5.
Is he starting a GoFundMe or something? What's going on?
We all know.
He said he can't find one, and I just Googled and immediately found one on QVC. It's $1,000
in stock.
Oh,
whoa! It is in stock. Yes,
it says in stock.
Oh, that's $1,000 though. That's a pretty high price bundle.
Yeah, it's a big bundle.
That is a big bundle.
You can break it up into 3 pieces.
Yeah, you could do. Look, it's only $333.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there you go, Adam.
Yeah, it's like car salesman, right? You don't care what the car costs. Let me tell you what the payment
can be.
Yeah,
how old is a PS5?
That's the one that just came out, isn't it?
Yeah, less than a year at this point. About a year.
But it's not like yesterday.
Chip shortage.
And it's been in short supply since it came out because of component shortages.
Chips.
Yeah. True. Yeah, it's just like
Problem with
everything
cars.
else. Yeah.
All right. Well, to end for the night, I found this on TikTok the other night, and so because Dan, are we gonna make an announcement about Wednesday?
Oh yeah, we're not doing a show on Wednesday.
Yeah, we're gonna take a little hiatus.
We're just doing Mondays only for a while because I've actually been
crazy.
having weekly meetings about the sitcom and have had a lot of assignments and writing things to do.
Mm-hmm.
And Eric's got a new job.
I do,
and I also have a job, and you guys have jobs,
Yeah.
and Reagan's got school. So,
And we are no
Wade
longer
has
quite
school.
as isolated as we were when you started that.
Yes,
That too.
Yeah, and I have a job where I work Wednesday nights. So that's
so just eventually it might become a one-off. Like every once in a while, we'll do something special, and we will DM some people to let them know or invite them to a special game night or something.
Fun times.
And so that'll be cool. But since I won't get to share this there, and this might get us kicked off the air tonight.
Oh my gosh.
I found this amazing video, and so I figured I'd share.
Oh my!
And spring became the summer. Who'd have believed you'd
animal.
God, his face is so frozen.
And his delivery is so sincere.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
Touching hands.
Oh,
Well, that's some great choreography.
Touching
Wait, this is the scene. Yeah, I missed it there. I meant to mention the fact he looks like he's having a heart attack here.
I know.
It's like somebody check on David. What's going on?
He needs himself a lifeguard.
Oh, concert footage.
Oh yeah, got it. Look at all this.
Okay, hold on.
Oh,
That's
man.
concert footage with stock footage. I've seen that concert footage before. That's stock footage. That's not him.
I think that's his.
So does he actually sing?
Oh yeah, he's huge in Germany.
Yeah,
He
Well,
pretends
actually, he's the same size in Germany as he is here.
Fat Amy made that joke in Pitch Perfect 2, and I thought that it was a joke.
No, he
could really
actually
sing.
had a big hit when the Berlin Wall came down. That's how fun it was. And he took a little too much credit.
Nightmare fuel. Thanks, Eric.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His face though. Holy plastic surgery.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
not sure it's plastic surgery or Botox, or maybe both.
That's a lot of both.
I know, but
He's like,
It's not horrible though.
he's driving down PCH1 on Malibu. I mean,
at least he doesn't have the fake lip. He's feeling himself up.
Oh my goodness.
Pause it when they show the big. There's two different scenes, and one of them I saw on the stock footage site that we share. Oh, it's gone. And the other one, the
I
teacher.
thought that was enough. It was. I realized
That's
it was
more than enough.
but it actually is looped.
Yeah.
I did disappear down one rabbit hole today, which was I don't know how it came up as a recommendation on YouTube when I was looking for something totally unrelated, but I had forgotten how incredibly funny Norm Macdonald is, because there are so many YouTube videos
Norm
of him on
Macdonald,
Conan
funny
and on
guy.
Letterman,
Oh, yeah.
where he is just absolutely killing the room. It is.
He's the best storyteller. Sometimes there's no punchline. That's the only problem. He'll pull you. He'll suck you in. And he's like, and then you go over there, and the guy says, "Hey, we're closed." That's it.
And then,
Yeah, they were
and then there's ones
closed.
where then there's the way he explains the joke after he tells it.
Yeah.
You know, you get it. He said why because I.
Yeah, because they're closed. You see, they weren't open anymore. They were closed. You see. Hey, Norm Macdonald there.
Oh.
John Mulaney has similar delivery.
Did you see Mulaney on Seth Meyers this
I have
past
not
week?
yet. I heard it's pretty impressive.
It is impressive and very touching. It's really a very interesting, because this is really sort of his almost confessional after his multiple trips to rehab and his intervention and everything. It's really fascinating to watch. He's
Yeah.
very, very revealing and open in it.
There's
And funny too.
There are just so many comedians that are dark and have issues. And there was 4 comedians that all OD'd on cocaine laced with fentanyl in Venice last week. 3 of them died. One of them,
Well, the
I
number
didn't know any of them, but I sort of knew the one a little bit, but the one that survived. But it's, I mean, can you imagine like waking up in the hospital and finding out that the 3 friends you're partying with are all dead?
the number of great comedians that died way too young from that. I mean, Mitch Hedberg is one that comes to mind, who was just brilliant.
Yeah, John Belushi.
Well, yeah, Belushi, of course. Well, and all of those, you know, you get John Candy and Chris Farley, and oh man,
Dennis
Did
Wolfberg.
John Candy die from an overdose?
No,
if it wasn't an overdose, it was from an overindulgent lifestyle. I mean, the guy was just
That's what I
massive
thought.
heart attack.
Yeah.
Uncle Buck. We should watch Uncle Buck. That was a
That's
good
what I
one.
was thinking about.
That's a funny one. And then the girl dates a guy named Mug. That's the first time he turned it away.
Candy in that movie is just so. His attitude in that is just so great.
Yeah.
Cool Runnings. Cool Runnings the other day, actually.
Wow.
That's such. I've watched it before. It's such a good one.
There's Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. I think he's on one of the wheels, isn't it? Or what? No, it was a Thanksgiving time. It was on the holiday wheel. That's right.
Yeah, my pap loves that when he told me about it. It was funny. He loved it more than I did, but it's so fun to listen to him talk about it because he's like, "Oh my gosh!" And then this part happens with Steve Martin, and then this happens. Like, it was so funny just hearing him talk about it.
Yeah, your dad isn't into like that catastrophic things keep happening to you type thing.
Yeah, That's how
I know that's not Eric's kind of movie in some ways.
But I have fond memories of that movie, but probably if I watched it now, it would not be.
Yeah, the horrible things keep happening to people in that movie, which I know is not your kind of movie usually.
No, the pile-on of the I can't believe this other.
Yeah, well, Lenny Bruce for sure.
Lenny Bruce, another one.
Well, Sam Kinison.
Although ironically, Sam Kinison, sorry, Michael, not ironically, Sam Kinison did not die from, like he had sobered up finally, and he was killed by a drunk driver.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I mean, I guess that would be irony, right?
Yeah, that would. Well, it's like Stevie Ray Vaughan cleaned up and put out one additional album about being clean and was killed in a plane crash. You know, it's
John Candy was
on
in
that
JFK,
fun note.
I don't think John Candy was in JFK. I think you're confusing him with Wayne Knight. Newman. He was in JFK.
Yeah.
I don't think he was.
Yeah, that is irony. Okay, thank you.
Confirmation. All right. Well,
you have had your grammar checked.
And on that 90-minute show, we're in, we're out. That's what it's all about.
Fantastic. Absolutely.
Live long and prosper.
Watch Irony Man next week.
How funny was the line though where he said, I would be self-indulgent if I said it.
Yes.
Yes. It would be self-indulgent.
Great.
It's self-serving or whatever however he phrased it. Yeah. That was clever.
Well, I hope you all live long and prosper.
Good night. Good luck on the job.
See
Goodbye.